Hi everyone, this is Natasha, and I had promised that I would do a review of this Tonic Studios multi-detail punch, and it's this very pretty butterfly. I did pick this up from Blitsy, um, and initially when I first got it, I noticed that it's pretty heavy. So, and I have other Tonic products which I do enjoy, so I know the quality is reliable. So I was really excited to see this because I have a Martha Stewart Monarch Butterfly Punch, which does not behave consistently for me, and it could have been just my particular punch, but after having done a review of that a couple of years ago, and the comments I have been left, I'm not the only one who has that same issue with that punch. And I think it might have something to do with the level of detail in the punches. So the greater level of detail requires more heft in the metal that's used. So I was trying to find an alternative. Now, I did purchase this from Blitsy, not directly from Tonic or another retailer. So the information that was available at the time of purchase did not quantify that this item is actually a punch and fold instead of a regular punch. The punch and fold means that the center of the butterfly, this void in the image, does not actually get punched out. So let me share with you exactly what that looks like. I wish that there was more. I wish that I had known that from the Blitsy information, because if I had known that this is a punch and fold punch, I definitely would not have purchased it because I was looking for a comparable replacement to the Martha Stewart punch. So the back of this has some additional information, which I can't quite understand whether it's just a goofy kind of translation. It's not. I mean, this is made by a British company. Excuse me. But it has information in letters, but the photographs are corresponding in numbers, so it just kind of doesn't flow. But I did notice that the maximum weight paper that this will punch through is only 47 pound. So cover stock and regular cardstock will not punch through, so it's really just paperweight paper that will punch through. And in these examples, it shows that the item is punching all the way through, although this is obviously a punch and fold punch. So this is very confusing. They need to streamline it, and what they're probably doing from the manufacturing standpoint is they have one information sheet about the multi-detail punches, whether it's excuse me, the ones that release the image entirely or the ones that are punch and fold. So if you're asking what is this punch and fold, here's the only sticker, and it looks like it was an afterthought, or maybe this is the qualifier for the specific punch. When you punch this item, it doesn't release entirely. The butterfly wings punch out of the paper, but the center, the body, stays intact. So let me show you what that looks like. So I grabbed a piece of paper, and this is thin weight paper. It's not cardstock, so this should work in theory. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn this upside down to make sure I line up the image, and I'm going to place it flat on the table. And again, I've pushed down, but there's really no like final click or anything that's produced. And as you can see, you just have to wiggle it a little bit, and here's what is produced. The punch punches out the fine details and the wings, but the center is attached. Now I'm sure I can go in with a pair of snips and cut that piece off, but it's not very productive if you're trying to make multiples of anything. So this does have some nice applications. You could trim the square down and adhere several of them for a card. You could take, and again, you have to use this piece of paper, not cardstock, that would slide in. There's a refuse, slide into this punch. So it's not like you could take a 12 by 12 and give yourself a design unless this is just on the edge. So it does punch through on paper without an issue. There's no ratty edges. It wasn't really difficult. However, I tried a couple of other things to punch with this, and it's not nearly as successful. So this is a tag that I cut with 110-pound weight cover stock from Staples. Let me just make sure, and I'll show you. It does punch it, but it's not reliable. Okay, so I'm gonna try. See, it's a little stuck, but here you go. So it's a nice, that's pretty, but again, I had purchased it thinking that it's a punch that goes all the way through. Now knowing that there is such a thing as this punch and fold, and again, this little sticker in the photograph image on Blitsy was only visible as a little green blob. You couldn't read it, and it didn't. There was no description. I don't think there was description whatsoever about what type of punch it was. And not having known that there is such a difference, or that these punches are, that there are punches that punch all the way through versus these punch and fold, I would have done additional research and not purchased it. And it was not inexpensive, even with the Blitsy discounted price. I believe it was $10.95. So now I have this heavyweight, pretty but not entirely practical tonic punch. So if you're looking for this effect, that's pretty cool. So this totally does it for you. You just have to keep in mind that maximum capacity for the paperweight is 47 pounds, so you can't use cardstock. But if you're looking for a punch that would punch out the butterfly in its entirety, this is not it, because I don't think anyone would want to go through the efforts of cutting the body out each and every time you punch it. So I did also try a couple of other things. Let me see if I could pull it out. I did try punching shrink film, which was relatively successful after you wiggled out the actual shrink film. It took way too long, and this is already shrunken up, obviously. So here, there's a clear, there's a white, there's a little scrap of red. So it does make a really cute shape butterfly, but to tell you honestly, it was not worth the effort, how long it took. And I did these on a Ustream, so I have others who were there present while I was doing it who can attest to the fact that it was just not nearly as productive as you would think. So, and this one even ripped a little bit, so it wasn't pristine. So what I'm still in search of is a pretty easy to use, reliable punch that will punch through shrink film and 110-pound weight cardstock. So if any of you are aware of such a punch and you've had good success with it, again, I've tried this Tonic one now, and I have tried the Martha Stewart one, neither of which are really my favorites. I have to say, though, in comparison from this Tonic one to Martha Stewart, I probably would have to choose a Martha Stewart because it does punch out the butterfly in its entirety. So there you go. There's my somewhat detailed review of the Tonic Punch and Fold, unbeknownst to me, butterfly punch. If you have any questions for me, please leave me a comment. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching.